If you're having issues with your computer intermittently locking up, that's what this video is going to talk about. And specifically, it's going to talk about if you were moving your cursor like this, if you're working and all of a sudden your cursor slows down and then it just freezes and then the whole computer freezes. You can still see the background, you can see whatever you're working on, but pressing Control-Delete on the keyboard doesn't work. The computer's frozen. And the only way to get it working again is to reboot the computer. About 2 years ago, I had built a new computer, and ever since then, the computer intermittently, it could be once a day, it could be 3 times a day, it could be once a week, it could happen every other day or every third day. It was very intermittent. It didn't matter what program you were in or what you were doing, the computer would just lock. And then you could reboot it and then you were fine. It didn't happen enough that I wanted to start changing out hardware. I did try reinstalling the operating system. I used this program called Heavy Load that hammered the hardware, like the RAM, motherboard, hard drive, video card, to see if it would lock up, but it never did, no matter how many times I did it. There's no error message or log because once it locks up, it doesn't have time to create that log. There's a program called Speccy that you can run, and it's a cool program. It tells you all about your system, and it also tells you the temperature of each component. The motherboard was running a little hot, not really hot, but I went ahead and put a new cooler on it. And so all the temperatures are running way low, but it was still freezing. I put a new power supply, but it continued to freeze. So after dealing with this for way too long, I was going to just go ahead and build a new computer, get a new motherboard, processor, RAM, hard drive. And I talked to the guy at Micro Center, and he said, if I have another drive, just swap out the drive. Because I personally thought it was either the hard drive or the motherboard. The drive that was in it was a 970 EVO Samsung. This one does have faster transfer speeds, but I had an extra one of these laying around, so I plugged it in and then cloned this, which is the main drive, onto this drive using this program, Macrium Reflect. I hope I'm saying that right. It's a free program you can download. It does an exact clone of the drives. Once cloned, I removed this one. Now the motherboard actually has 2 of the M2 slots on it. I had originally taken this drive and put it on the other M2 slot, and it would still continue to lock up. So I don't know if it's the M2 slot on the motherboard or if it's this drive. But after copying it over and then removing this drive and then booting up off of this drive, haven't had any lockups, not one single lockup for over a month now. So it's definitely something with the drive, with the physical drive, or something with the M2 slot on the motherboard. Because it's not the motherboard itself, because it's working with this drive. So it's hard to tell. I ran all these tools that you can download from Samsung. I had originally ran all the tools before changing out the drive on the drive, and it all came back as the drive's great. And I changed every different combination in the BIOS, updated the BIOS, the whole routine. And it's got to be something with the, I think it's either this drive or something with the M2 ports on that motherboard. But it's working now. I'm so happy. If this is happening to you where you're working and all of a sudden the cursor will get slow and it just locks up and you've tried everything else, then of course you have to start looking at hardware and start switching out parts and seeing what fixes it. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them below. I'd love to hear if this has happened to you and how you fixed it.